Looking expensive and being well-dressed are not the same thing. Most men confuse them. The man who spends $900 on a logo-covered loafer looks like he spent $900 on a logo. The man who spends $400 on a Goodyear welted Oxford in full-grain leather looks like he has always known what he is doing. One is purchasing recognition. The other is purchasing competence. From across the room, competence reads richer than recognition every time. The upgrades in this video are not about spending more. Several of them cost less than what most men currently spend on the wrong version of the same item. They are about understanding what actually communicates quality and what communicates that you paid for something without knowing why. By the end of this video, you will know 10 specific changes that produce the most visible improvement in how a man's clothing reads, not by chasing trends, not by buying logos, but by understanding the construction and material signals that genuinely distinguish a well-dressed man from a man who spent money on clothing. Nothing in a man's wardrobe communicates more about his understanding of clothing than his shoes. Not the brand, not the price, the construction. A cemented shoe, sole bonded to upper with adhesive, looks finished when new and begins communicating its limitations within 18 months of regular wear. The sole separates at the edges. The leather creases without recovering because the construction underneath cannot support it. The toe box distorts. By year 2, a cemented shoe at any price looks like what it is, a disposable product in the process of being disposed of. A Goodyear welted shoe looks better at year 5 than it did at year 1, provided it has been maintained. The leather develops a patina, the sole can be replaced. The W-Elt, the strip of leather stitched around the perimeter connecting upper to outsole, creates a structural integrity that cemented construction cannot replicate. The shoe holds its shape because it is built to hold its shape for decades, not seasons. The visible difference between these two constructions is significant and immediate to anyone who understands shoes, and that group includes most men over 50, most business professionals, and anyone who has owned a quality pair. These are the men in the rooms where first impressions are made. Allen, Edmonds, Park Avenue, Oxford. Goodyear welted, full-grain leather, made in Wisconsin. $395 standard pricing, frequently available at $280 to $320 on sale. This shoe, maintained with leather conditioner and cedar shoe trees, will look better in year 7 than a $600 cemented fashion shoe looks in year 2. The upgrade is not from cheap to expensive, it is from disposable to permanent. The cost difference measured over 10 years favours the welted shoe by a significant margin. The appearance difference is immediate. Turn the shoe over before you buy anything. The welt is there or it's not. If it is not, the shoe is temporary regardless of the price. Most American men own suits that do not fit. Not because they bought the wrong size, because off-the-rack sizing is a statistical approximation that fits nobody precisely, and most men do not invest in the alterations required to close the gap between the approximation and their actual body. A suit that does not fit communicates one thing regardless of the brand, the fabric, or the price. The man wearing it did not care enough to finish the job. Excess fabric pooling at the seat, jacket sleeves covering the shirt cuff, collar gapping at the back of the neck, trouser break landing at the wrong point on the shoe. These are visible, correctable failures that undermine every other investment in the garment. A suit that fits, even an inexpensive suit that has been properly altered, reads as more expensive and more intentional than a designer suit wearing its original off-the-rack dimensions. Fit is the most visible quality signal in tailored clothing. It costs $50 to $150 in alterations at a competent tailor. It is worth more than any upgrade in fabric or brand. The standard alterations. Every off-the-rack suit needs sleeve length set so the shirt shows a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of cuff. Trouser hems set for a slight break or no break depending on the trouser silhouette. Jacket taken in at the waist if excess fabric bunches when buttoned. Collar adjusted if it gaps away from the shirt collar. Before buying a new suit, spend the alteration budget on the suit you already own. The result will almost certainly read as more expensive than the new suit in its original off-the-rack state. A $500 suit that fits beats a $1,500 suit that does not every time, in every room. The dress shirt is the garment closest to the face. It frames the jaw, the neck, and the expression. A shirt with a collapsed collar, a collar that curls at the points, a collar that gaps open under a tie, or a collar that rides up above the jacket collar communicates sloppiness regardless of everything else the man is wearing. The collar is the single most important construction element in a dress shirt, and it is the element most frequently failed by shirts in the $50 to $150 range that do not use adequate interlining. A collar with insufficient internal structure looks correct in the store and collapses within 5 washings. The specific fix: buy a dress shirt with removable collar stays, metal inserts that slide into sleeves in the collar points and hold them flat. Most quality dress shirts include this feature. Use them. They cost nothing extra and eliminate the curling collar point problem permanently. For the collar roll, the fold of fabric between the collar band and the collar itself, look for a shirt where the roll is natural and soft rather than stiff and forced. A collar that rolls naturally over a tie knot is a construction achievement. A collar that stands rigidly or collapses entirely is a construction failure. Proper cloth made to measure dress shirts at $120 to $140 in Thomas Mason, Oxford. Cloth solve the fit and collar problem simultaneously. The shirt is measured to the wearer's neck size, sleeve length, and chest dimensions. The collar fits because it was made to fit a specific neck, not an industry average. A white or light blue dress shirt in a proper fit, with a collar that stays flat and a collar roll that falls naturally, communicates more sophistication than any dress shirt with a pattern or brand logo at twice the price. The collar is the first thing people see. Make it hold its shape. The trouser break is where the hem of the trouser meets the top of the shoe. Most men wear their trousers too long. The excess fabric bunches over the shoe in folds that read as careless regardless of the quality of either the trouser or the shoe. There are 3 legitimate break options: no break. The trouser hem sits just at the top of the shoe or slightly above, showing a sliver of sock or ankle. This reads as intentional and modern. Slight break. The hem touches the top of the shoe and folds once, minimally. This is the traditional American professional standard. Full break. The hem folds significantly over the shoe in heavy folds. This reads as outdated in most professional contexts and is never the result of proper tailoring. A trouser hemmed to the correct length communicates that the man understood the garment enough to finish it properly. A trouser worn at its original off-the-rack length, folding twice over the shoe, communicates that the man bought the trouser and wore it without further consideration. The cost of hemming a trouser at a tailor: $15 to $30. The visual improvement: substantial and immediate. This is the highest return on investment alteration in menswear and the most consistently ignored. The trouser is not done when you buy it, it is done when it is hemmed. Full-grain leather shoes, belts and bags that have been conditioned and polished look more expensive than corrected grain or synthetic leather accessories in new condition. This is not opinion, it is the visual result of the difference between a natural surface that has been cared for and a coated surface that has not. Unconditioned full-grain leather dries, cracks at flex points, and loses the depth of colour that makes it look rich. Conditioned full-grain leather deepens in colour, develops a surface patina, and reflects light in the way that genuine aged leather does, a quality that synthetic and corrected grain leather cannot replicate regardless of how new it is. The process: clean the leather surface with a damp cloth. Apply a leather conditioner, Venetian shoe cream, or Saphir Renovateur are the standard recommendations in a thin, even coat. Allow it to absorb. Buff with a soft cloth or brush. For shoes, apply a matching wax polish over the conditioner for additional depth and water resistance. Buff to shine. This process takes 10 minutes per pair of shoes. It should be done every 4 to 6 weeks for shoes in regular rotation. The result is a shoe that reads as expensive because it looks maintained, and maintained leather communicates that the man values what he owns. A $200 pair of full-grain leather shoes that have been conditioned and polished read as more expensive than a $500 pair of corrected grain shoes that have not been touched since purchase. The surface tells the story. Control the surface. The average American man's winter coat is a synthetic fill puffer or a fleece-lined polyester jacket. Both are functional. Neither communicates anything about the quality of the man's wardrobe. They communicate practicality without intention. A wool overcoat or a waxed cotton field jacket communicates intention. These are not fashion statements, they are natural material choices that read as permanent rather than seasonal, as considered rather than convenient. The visual difference between a man in a navy wool overcoat and a man in a black synthetic puffer, at the same temperature, is significant and immediate. The specific upgrade, a Crombie-style wool overcoat in navy or charcoal. The silhouette is clean and consistent across decades. It does not look current or dated because it has never been a trend. It has been the standard professional overcoat in the Anglo-American wardrobe for over a century for the same reason a white dress shirt has. It works without needing to work at it. Entry price for a genuine wool overcoat from an honest manufacturer. $300 to $500 from brands including Magee of Donegal, available through their direct website, or from vintage and second-hand sources where the quality of previous decades is available at a fraction of current prices. The wool content should be on the label. Look for 80% wool minimum. Pure wool is the standard. The synthetic puffer keeps you warm. The wool overcoat keeps you warm and communicates that you made a considered choice. In most rooms where appearances matter, the distinction is visible. Before moving to the remaining upgrades, it is worth understanding the 4 signals that actually communicate quality, because these signals explain why each upgrade works and why a designer logo does not. The first signal is maintenance. A maintained garment communicates investment, polished shoes, pressed trousers, a jacket that has been hung rather than folded, a shirt that has been properly laundered and stored with stays in the collar. Maintenance is visible, requires effort, and signals that the man takes his appearance seriously enough to follow through on the initial purchase. A maintained $300 suit reads as more expensive than a neglected $1,500 suit. The brand is invisible. The care is not. Before spending money on upgrades, establish the maintenance practice. Shoe trees in every pair of leather shoes at $15 to $25 per pair. Wooden hangers for jackets. A clothes brush for wool. These investments cost under $100 total and produce visible results on clothing you already own. The second signal is fit. Fit is the signal that overrides every other variable. A garment that fits the body it is on communicates intentionality, investment, and self-awareness. A garment that does not fit communicates the opposite, regardless of price, brand, or material. The specific fit markers that read as expensive: jacket shoulders that sit at the natural shoulder point without overhang, shirt collar that fits the neck without gap or constriction, trousers that fall cleanly from hip to shoe without excess fabric, sleeve length that reveals the correct amount of shirt cuff. These are all correctable with alterations. None of them are corrected by buying a more expensive garment. The third signal is material coherence. A wardrobe where the materials are coherent, where the shoes, the belt, the bag, and the watch strap are all in the same leather family, where the jacket and trouser fabrics are compatible in weight and texture, where the shirt is appropriate to the occasion of the trousers reads as intentional. A wardrobe where the materials are random reads as accidental. Material coherence does not require expensive materials. It requires understanding which materials belong in the same outfit and wearing them together consistently. This is knowledge, not spending. It costs nothing beyond the time to learn it. The fourth signal is restraint. The man who wears fewer visible logos, fewer trends, and fewer statement pieces than the room average communicates confidence. The logo says, I needed this brand to validate my purchase. The absence of the logo says, I made this choice on my own terms and I do not need anyone to identify it. Restraint in menswear with plain fabrics, classic silhouettes, and understated accessories reads as wealth because it reads as confidence. The man who does not need the logo to feel dressed is the man who looks most dressed without it. If you want to know what your clothes are actually worth before you spend the money, subscribe. This channel follows the construction, not the campaign. The belt and the shoe are the two leather accessories most commonly mismatched in the American man's wardrobe. A black shoe with a brown belt, a cordovan shoe with a tan belt, a matty leather shoe with a patent leather belt. These mismatches are visible and communicate that the wardrobe was assembled without attention. The rule is straightforward. The belt and the shoe should be the same colour or within one shade of each other, and they should be in compatible leathers, both matte, both polished, or deliberately contrasted with intention. The hardware, the belt buckle, should be consistent with watch and ring metal, if any, is worn. This upgrade costs nothing if the shoes and belts already exist. It is a matter of selection rather than purchase. If the wardrobe lacks a belt in the correct colour, a plain full-grain leather belt in black and in brown from a brand like Orion Leather or Tanner Goods retails at $60 to $100 and will last a decade of regular wear. The quality of the leather and the simplicity of the hardware communicate more than a designer belt at 5 times the price with visible branding on the buckle. The shoe and the belt tell each other's story, match them, or the story contradicts itself. A metal bracelet watch on a man in business or professional casual dress is an accessory making a statement. A watch on a leather strap is a man telling the time. The distinction reads clearly to anyone in the room who is paying attention. The leather strap integrates with the rest of the wardrobe in a way that a metal bracelet does not. It connects visually to the shoe leather and the belt. It communicates restraint. It does not compete for attention with the clothing. The upgrade does not require buying a new watch. Most watches accept interchangeable straps. A simple leather strap in black or dark brown, purchased from a reputable strap maker, costs $20 to $60 and converts any watch into a more integrated accessory. The watch face and case remain. The strap connects the watch to the rest of the wardrobe. For the man buying a watch, a simple, clean-dialed watch on a leather strap communicates more sophistication than a larger, feature-heavy watch on a metal bracelet at the same price. The Seiko Presage line at $200 to $400 on a leather strap reads as more intentional than a $600 fashion chronograph on metal. The watch is for telling time and for completing the wrist. The leather strap does both without competing with anything else. The most consistent error in the American man's wardrobe is not wearing the wrong things. It is wearing too many things simultaneously. A pocket square, a lapel pin, a patterned tie and a checked shirt worn together do not communicate effort. They communicate uncertainty, the need to fill every available surface because the foundation is not confident enough to stand without decoration. The upgrade is subtraction. Before leaving the house, look at the complete outfit and remove one element, the pocket square or the lapel pin, not both. The patterned tie or the checked shirt, not both. The watch or the bracelet, not both. The result is a cleaner visual field where each element reads individually rather than competing with the others. This upgrade costs nothing. It requires only the discipline to subtract rather than add. The result is an outfit that reads as considered rather than assembled under pressure. Less is not a compromise. It is a decision. Decisions read as expensive. Accumulation reads as effort. The difference between them is visible across a room. The American man's wardrobe often contains multiple leather-adjacent accessories. Synthetic leather bags, bonded leather belts, faux leather wallets that accumulate as budget purchases and collectively communicate nothing about quality. One piece of genuine full-grain leather, maintained properly, communicates more than 6 pieces of synthetic or bonded leather combined. A vegetable tanned leather wallet from Saddleback leather at $79 to $119, used daily for 5 years, develops a patina that reads as genuinely expensive because genuine aged leather looks like nothing else and cannot be replicated synthetically. A synthetic wallet at the same price looks identical on day 1 and looks worn out by year 2. The principle extends to bags and briefcases. One full-grain leather briefcase used daily for 10 years is a wardrobe statement that synthetic alternatives cannot make. Lotuff Leather in Providence, Rhode Island produces full-grain leather bags in the United States at $500 to $900 that will last 20 years of daily use and look better at year 10 than at year 1. The math against replacing a $150 synthetic bag every 3 years is clear. The appearance comparison is not close. Buy one. Buy it in full grain, maintain it, let it age. One real thing reads richer than many imitations. The patina is the proof. The 10 upgrades in this video share a common principle. Quality communicates through material truth, construction permanence, and intentional restraint, not through price, brand recognition, or the accumulation of expensive items. The man who looks expensive without trying is not the man who spent the most. He is the man who understood quality and acted on that understanding consistently. His shoes are welted and maintained. His suit fits because he had it altered. His collar stays flat because the shirt was made to the correct construction standard, or because he uses collar stays. His belt matches his shoes because he looked before he left the house. He's wearing fewer things, not more, and each thing he is wearing was chosen rather than defaulted to. This is not a difficult wardrobe to build. It requires knowledge more than money. In several cases, the trouser hem, the belt and shoe match, removing one item, it requires no money at all. In others, the welted shoe, the wool overcoat, the single leather briefcase, the initial investment is higher, but the long-term cost is lower because the products last rather than deteriorate. The American menswear market is designed to sell men more things more often. Fast fashion, seasonal trends, brand upgrades, and the constant suggestion that the current wardrobe is insufficient all serve the same commercial purpose: generate repeat purchases. The man who understands quality buys less frequently, spends more deliberately, and ends up with a wardrobe that serves him better, because each item was chosen for what it actually is, rather than for what the marketing said it represented. The most expensive looking wardrobes in any room do not belong to the men who spent the most. They belong to the men who knew what they were buying and bought it once. The logo is for the room. The construction is for the man. The fit is for the life he lives in the garment. Dress for the 2nd and the 10th year, not for the moment of purchase. The quality will still be there. The trend will not. Price talks loud. Construction tells the truth, fit tells it loudest of all.